Welcome to a new episode of the Fresh Bunch. This is Mike, and I am joined by Joel, Ryan, Mimi, and our super duper guest today is Dave Mitchell. Dave Mitchell of Mitchell's Florist and Flower Delivery.
Woo!
Yeah.
Thank you.
So David Mitchell, president of Mitchell's Florist and Flower Delivery. Mitchell's is a family-owned business that has been serving the southwest suburbs of Chicago for over 50 years. So
actually,
you're halfway to
longer.
the Century Award.
No, actually longer, right, David?
Longer?
Yeah, well, our shop, our business started in 1916, so we're actually 109.
Oh.
But we look good for our age, so we just tell everyone we're 50.
Smart.
You have
But
to
our
enter for the
shop-
Century Award.
Yeah, we won actually back in 2017. I think we won that.
Awesome.
But our shop in Orland Park is 50 years old, 52 years old. We started in the city. You know, we were in the city of Chicago, south side of Chicago. You've heard the songs. It's not always the best part of town. We eventually moved out to the suburbs and have done really well out here. And then bought another shop up in Hinsdale, Illinois, which is a really, really nice suburb of Chicago. And that shop is actually 70 years old this year. So we bought that about 12, 13 years ago now. So two older shops, but we kind of feel like we're, we keep looking towards the future. So we try to.
So in 1917, you started as a charming farmhouse?
Well, actually, in 16, 17, we were down on a street, a market street in Chicago. There were 3 flower shops in a row, literally next door to us, and then across the street, there were 3 flower shops. So it was an area where people could go and they could buy fruits and, or go to the flower market, which is what we had, which was Grandpa was down there. He started off like peddling things in a cart with like gladiolas that he would bring from.
Don't get Mike started on gladiolas.
Yeah, I love gladiolas. They're her favorite flower.
I saw the old flower market location when I was touring some spots with Lenny Walker a few months ago. He showed it to me. Yeah.
So he started that. He would bring. So this was back in the late teens, early 20s. He would be bringing in gladiolas from Michigan. The story is that there were other things underneath the gladiolas during Prohibition. But I don't know. We don't know that for sure. But we, the understanding is eventually the got into an actual flower shop and kind of went from there. So, he was in the business. His brother, my Uncle Nick, was in the business, and then they sold it to my dad, George, and his brother, Ted, back in the late 50s, early 60s. And then, we in the early 70s, then we moved out to the suburbs and opened up the shop. So this was kind of a farmhouse. Actually, that's where I'm at right now. And we basically turned it into a flower shop. We've added on. We've bought other land around us. So now it doesn't look anything like a farmhouse, but it's in a good area. So we enjoy being here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So David's involvement with the Society of American Florists and the exciting world of Outstanding Varieties Competition. Dave, welcome to the show.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to the show. Yeah.
So you guys just got off Outstanding Varieties. You guys just come back from that event.
Dave, how's your back?
Yeah.
Mine, I'm still taking Advil every day.
I'm not allowed to take Advil anymore, but yes, I take a lot of Tylenol, and it's a rough couple days. I know there was definitely some evenings I would go out to the hot tub for about a half hour and just get hitting my back because it's a lot of lifting, a lot of moving stuff, but well worth it. It really is. It makes it. I think it's one of the highlights for a lot of people who go to convention.
Yeah. Plus, we had extra help this year, but we did miss Megan, David's his amazing half. Like I love
much better.
I mean, she's just awesome. I missed her so much this year. She's also the one who brings the music and the fun and the predictions. So she cannot miss Amelia Island next year because I need to see her.
I've already told her she has requested that she must be there. So she was there. But we also had Ellie Lefevre, who was just really awesome from Flower Click. she did a great job. And then Tracy Park
from House of
was
Flora.
just a ball of energy that just kept working.
Great way to describe it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
So David, your family has deep roots. I mean, surviving Prohibition, like you said, the Great Depression, World Wars. What is it like to carry this legacy forward? What keeps you guys relevant now? Like when you say that you are moving into the future, what's it like?
Well, I think we're trying to, like, going to the conventions, we're trying to see what's new in the world, and what's going to happen. And it's a little bit of a confusing time right now. We're always concerned. I know we watched or we listened to Charlie Hall at SAF talk about what the economic future is going to hold, but it allows us to maybe position ourselves, for the future, or at least for what's the near future with tariffs and things like that. And design wise, we're always coming up with new things. I've got 3 AIFD designers on staff.
Wow.
So they're always, coming up with new ideas and creating arrangements.
Do you seek that out? Do you look for designers that have that, or do you send them to go get their certification? Both.
We've had people that we've kind of taught along the way, and then they've gone off and received their AIFD. Actually, I think at least 3 of our existing, or actually four of our designers over time have done that. My dad is an AIFD, actually former president of AIFD. My brother's a member who works with us, and we have another gentleman, Howard, who is has been very big with AIFD. So
who's the best designer in the family? I have other
designers that are. What's that?
Who's the best designer of the family?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I want to say a head-to-head competition.
I probably don't want to say that, out loud, but probably my brother. But my dad, I think in his day was pretty innovative. He's now 87, which I'm not. He tells people he's a little younger, but he definitely has the energy of someone who's more like 50.
Sure.
But he still comes into the store every day. He's downstairs right now, bossing everyone around.
I love that.
But he comes in for 3 or 4 hours. He enjoys working. I think it's a little bit of what defines him, but he also, he wants to make sure things are going right. It's his legacy. I mean, he's been with it a long, long time. He was born into the business, as was I, and he's got more years on it than I do. So I think he just wants to continue it on and make sure that we're doing the right things. He's funny. He has a left brain and a right brain. He's definitely, design-wise, he's a wonderful designer, and has done that. But he's also the business side. We check our cost of goods every week. He wants to see, that sheet to see where we're at every week to make sure we're under 20% or 25% or whatever he wants each week. And he wants to see how our payroll's going and, make sure we turn the lights off. So he's always making sure that we are as careful as possible with money.
That's fun.
Again,
though. That's fun to have him around.
Oh, yeah.
That's a blessing to be able to have your dad go in there. Yeah.
And it really is. And then there's just sometimes when I just have a question, like, how should we do this? And, he's got all those years of experience. Yeah. So he can at least give me his best bet. And then, I'm technically supposed to be running the place, but I sometimes defer and say, well, that sounds like a great idea, Dad. Let's do it that way. So I try not to fight too much, but, there's sometimes a little bit of animosity, not animosity, but sometimes a little tension between father and son is, some people understand that,
Oh,
it can happen.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
But what a blessing to be able to what was it like as a kid, growing up? I mean, your dad, having to take on, did you know that you were always going to be in the flower industry? Did you know you were going to take over with your brother?
I'll be honest, no. I mean, my one desire when I was younger was to be a lawyer, but now I have friends who are, and I'm probably glad I'm not. But they, so I, I have a degree in accounting from the University of Illinois. But, and so when I graduated from college, I actually sold computers for about a year to florists. And that was back in the very late 80s. And it wasn't so much a question for florists of which computer should I buy, was why do I need a computer? So
Wild.
It was a lot of cold calling and a lot of things like that. And what I learned, which is an important lesson in life, I learned I do not like cold calling. I don't like doing that. So I'm not a salesman. I really enjoy dealing with brides or dealing with people who have needs for flowers. When they know they want flowers, I could talk to them all day long.
You could still be a salesman and not like cold calling.
Well, and yes, and I think I'm that kind of a salesman.
Right. It sounds like you are if you're talking to brides and stuff.
Yeah, you're a solutions salesperson. So like you look for the solution, and yes, that's good. Yeah.
I help them achieve something, or if we're talking about a funeral, what can we do to make sure that your mom, dad's personality comes out in the flowers that we're doing, whether it's a color or a type of flower, or adding in a fishing pole or golf clubs or something like that to give everyone else a feeling of who that person was.
I like what your mom, there's a quote from your mom: for every reason and every season. I mean, that should have been that flower feeling tagline. That's awesome. Yeah. For every reason and every season, they're flowers.
There are flowers, and I almost think that, that's most florists. We want to be there for the good times, the bad times, I'm just down today type of feelings. Yeah. But flowers can really be uplifting. And I remember I was at one point the president of the FTD, Chicagoland area. So there were a few times a florist passed away, and as the representative of the group, I would go to make sure that I'm sure other florists went too, but that I would go to represent the group. And you've all been to, I don't assume that some of you have been to a florist's funeral. There's more flowers than they know what to do with. Mm-hmm. They're everywhere. They're just filling them in. There was, and then next to it, some of these funeral homes, they
florists and mobsters.
Yeah, yes. And back in the day, that happened a lot to coincide. But you'd go to another room and there was 2 arrangements.
What movie is that? The more flowers you got, the more you're feared. What movie? That was a movie, wasn't it?
That one I don't know.
Okay.
And I'm pretty good with movies, so sounds untouchable. I
don't know. I just remember being a wholesaler and having a mob funeral, and every customer in that area would get the most huge amount of funeral work. It's almost a competition. Who sends the most expensive and biggest arrangement has the most respect.
Yes. It's always, they can put a little competition between people. It's always nice. Well, this person spent this much. Well, I have to spend more. So, but the every season and every reason, we're here all year long. Obviously holidays are wonderful. But the every reason is is all the everyday to day things, which, that's what gets us through. Holidays are great, but if we're not busy at least somewhat in July and August, it can really hurt. So we enjoy helping people for everything.
Well, and Dave, you don't escape it because Megan runs the other store, right?
Right. I think there's a good reason to have 2 stores in this business if you're working with your spouse. Because that was kind of my mom and dad. My mom, we always had a second store. At one point we had 3 stores, which may have been a little crazy, but they always worked at separate stores. So when we bought the shop in Hinsdale and Megan kind of went back to work on a more full-time basis, she worked there and I work at our shop in Orland Park. So there's some maybe over the phone tension or things like that, but we can bring it back home. We're not constantly on each other all day long. So
is there ever competition? We don't see that in my store, or my store is better than your store.
Well, there's definitely you can on our POS system, you can see what each store is doing each day,
Mm-hmm.
and usually we're a little ahead of the other shop in Orland Park. But every once in a while, they'll have a really outstanding day, and I will get a phone call.
Oh, I'm gonna order my
did you see
flowers from Megan now.
Yeah. Did you see what we're doing today? We're having a really good day, and my feeling is, it's fun to have a little competition. It all goes in the same bank account, so I'm really happy when we both have a good day. But it's nice though. But sometimes it is a matter of they're having a great day and we're not, and it overall it's a good average. So I'm happy with it.
So what about
that helps?
Well, it's great that you have the competition and stuff that, but it with today's craziness going on in the world, it's got to be hard to have all those moving parts moving at one time. I mean, it's refreshing to see some florists actually growing and buying more locations or opening more locations, but I would assume that it's got to be harder than ever before to manage all that. What are your biggest challenges now?
I think the biggest challenge is people. I mean, one of the reasons, and I appreciate you guys kind of moving your schedule around a little bit today to accommodate me, was I have to be training people. I have some new people coming in this week. One of the speakers at SAF talked about hiring for attitude or hiring for personality, and trying to bring people in that are uplifting and that are going to be good around other people, and then training them for their job. So, I mean, we literally have somebody in today who's, I think is she had a great background. She's retired. And this is going to be kind of hopefully a second career for her as a part-time employee. And she was just wonderful in the interview, but now it's to make sure that we can train her up on the sales part and helping customers and working on the computer and doing all these things that need to be done. So having good people and then having them be able to work when we need them to. So I think the product and things like that, where I think the fresh product we're seeing has been better than ever. Prices are a little higher. I understand from a wholesaler's part, you guys are paying a little bit more because of tariffs and just in general supply and demand. So we are too, and we're unfortunately having to pass that along to the customers here and there. But customers have been pretty open. As long as they feel they're getting good value, they're willing to pay the price. I mean, they'll spend $150 if it looks like a $150 arrangement. They don't want to see one of these little mini box things that, and price it too high. The value might be there, but we want to make sure that the perceived value is also there. So, if we're sending something to a funeral, I don't want to send something that's too small. I want to make sure that's where you want to wow them, even if it's not a mobster's funeral, it's a whoever's funeral.
Yeah. I just feel like with all the changes and multiple locations, you got to be working a little harder than before. And people for sure is a problem, no matter what business you're in. And the tariffs, that is a new pain that is difficult to navigate, for sure.
And the navigating on it is hard because you just don't know what's going to be. It keeps changing. It's like juggling and this week it might be this much, and next week, who knows what they're going to come back out with. So
right.
You're kind of planning for the worst, hoping for the best.
Mm-hmm.
We bring in a fair amount of gift items from China, from some of the companies that we meet down at the Atlanta Gift Show. And it's interesting. Some companies have built in a flat 10% tariff or a flat 15% tariff. Other ones are saying, okay, this is our price, but we're going to just adjust the tariff as the product comes into the country. It's hard to plan that way,
right.
And each time those things come, we're having to do our standard markups, but it can be different. Even the same product coming in May versus coming in October, they might be different prices. And it might be the same price product, it's just a different price tariff.
Did that affect your holiday buying? Like, I'm assuming you already purchased your stuff for Christmas and and stuff. Like, did that affect you? Did you buy ahead or buy more?
We definitely bought. There were some things that we usually do our fall and Christmas buying in January. So it was slightly before there were talk of tariff, but there wasn't anything more solid at that point. So we did our buy. But then through the year, we've been getting emails and statements from our different companies of this is what we're going to have to do with the tariffs. So we'll see. I mean, there was enough out there that there were a few things that we didn't know if we were going to get. I mean, some companies were saying we're not bringing anything in at this point if it's going to be a 40% tariff. So there were things that were in stock. So we brought in boxes of things during February for this Christmas because we were able to get it at last year's prices without tariffs because they were already in the warehouse. So we did it, but now we're a little bursting at the seams on extra stuff. Yeah, space, and we'll see how this year goes. Hopefully by Christmas we'll have a little more certainty, but I'm not going to bet on that one.
I was amazed that I was talking to some people at convention who actually were under the impression that the governments or the companies that were in the countries that were exporting were the ones paying the tariffs. They didn't realize that it was the U.S. importers that are paying the tariffs.
Well, I think that's then they've been sold a bill of goods, I guess. But I think that's the whole point.
I could understand that from the news. You watch the news, and that's what they say. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. Right. All these countries they're basically saying that the countries are taking advantage of the United States, but it's the companies that are bringing things in, and it's a lot of products that can't be grown in the United States or can't be created here that are it's a tariff on something that there's no way you're going to grow. I heard when there was bananas, or obviously with flowers, there is no domestic carnation growers. They're not growing a lot of these things in the United States anymore. So for flowers, it can get really testy, and we'll see what between Colombia and Ecuador what's going to happen. They're talking about. I know there's you know this much better than I, but some of the different trade preference acts that they've had. So I don't know what it's going to be. We just I hate to say we just kind of go with the flow, but you almost have to just play it by ear along the way and do your best.
Absolutely. I was happier. I'm not happy at all, but I'm happier. I was happier that they imposed the tariffs before Mother's Day. And because they did that, we all kind of got used to the fact that we're paying tariffs and the flower business still moved forward. But imagine if they would have dropped that bomb in July.
Yeah. Oh no, it's been a rougher summer, and and you're right. Prices were up during Mother's Day. I mean, it was technically our best month we ever had with the shops, but I know there was a certain amount of inflation with just the price of the flowers. But even units, we were slightly up. But that's a concern, going forward for holidays and things like that. Like you said, at least you got used to it and you were able to kind of set your prices. And then a lot of times you set prices, say around Valentine's Day, and they go back down. Things have not gone down after Mother's Day. They're still up around the same price point, especially with roses and things like that.
No, and those of us who bring in speculation, it's far more riskier for us now than it was before.
Yeah, and we have standing orders that we bring in on a weekly basis, but we've been really careful not to overdo that. You buy as you need. I love when we do weddings because that's all sold the product, and we can go through and we do a whole recipe for all the different arrangements we're making. We do a spreadsheet. We know exactly what we need. That's I know I've sold those. That's great. That's like you guys having standing orders with companies. They're sold. It's great. It's a lot easier to bring them in. When you bring stuff on spec, you're just you're hoping it's a good week, and it's a week or maybe two, but you really want to sell that within the week.
So we just got out of the Outstanding Varieties Competition for SAF, and Dave and I have been doing this for a couple years now. This year, they had close to 4,300 stems exhibited. I think it was a lot less considering Miami was crazy with everyone bringing in their own varieties. But David, why don't you give us a little rundown of what happens at this competition or the purpose of the competition?
Well, I think the purpose of the competition basically is for the the growers and I guess the breeders, but it's mostly the growers to show off their product. It used to be called like new varieties, so it was always something where you saw these things that you never saw any other place. But now they've changed it up to outstanding. So I think they have, I think they get more entries. But then there's definitely, products that you do see on the market now. There were pink Mondale roses, and I know there was some Free Spirit, Moonstone, some things that we bring in on a regular basis. But they were really, really pretty. So the different companies try to, they're basically showing off, but they also get judged by a panel of, there's 9 judges. We can, there's retailers, there's growers, there's wholesalers. There's a whole concoction of how that all works, but they're judged and then they're given ribbons. So like the top, I think it was the top 30 or so, 30, 35 items or entries receive blue ribbons. So they can tout that as, hey, we want a blue ribbon at the SAF Outstanding Varieties Competition. It gives it a little cachet, a little extra oomph when they're trying to sell it.
Absolutely.
They have the blue, they also have red, which is kind of the next step down. But they're given some idea of kind of how the public is reacting to the different products. So, that's, I think, the purpose of it. The how is the behind the scenes is it's a little bit like making soup. You don't always want to see everything,
Yeah.
but it's interesting. The actual competition, the judging was Monday afternoon. So by Friday, we were setting the room, getting it ready to go. Saturday morning, we started getting product in. And I think we received, I think there were 4 or 5 pallets worth of different boxes of things that we received. Plus, there were other companies that were bringing in their own product.
And then we process it all so that way they have a fresh cut and give them opportunity.
Why don't you kind of like set the room for people who haven't been to SAF's convention and don't know what the Outstanding Varieties is?
So, the Outstanding Varieties.
The space. I'm sorry, like the whole setup. How you were just explaining how.
Sure. Well, in terms of the space, we have basically a huge ballroom, and we're setting up. I don't know if there's altogether 50 or 60 long tables, putting 4 or 5 different varieties on each table. The entire room is set with, one side is all roses, one side is all variety of chrysanthemums and alstroemeria. Another section is kind of mixed different types of flowers, gerbras and carnations, delphinium, hypericum, just a variety of things.
And so, David, when we get Friday, we put down tape, like a protector for the floor, and then set everything up and process some stuff that we know has not been in water yet. We kind of take priority on that, making sure that everything gets the opportunity to drink up. Everything is provided by, the vases are provided by Syndicate Sales, and Kreisel provides the liquid inside the solution. And then this has been done for many years. That's why I got involved, and then I got involved with Gay. And I had the opportunity, well, we didn't even talk about how you got involved, but, and then what happens is that we get everything ready, and then we start volunteering. SAF you can pay SAF to set up your vases, so then the volunteers do that. So then we take and we make sure that we pick out the top 24 of each, and then we put them inside a vase. We put the name and the information underneath it so that nobody can see it, and then basically we lay it out. Now, David, as the coordinator, is the contact where everybody comes in and has to talk to him. He's also coordinating trucks and making sure that all the varieties have arrived, and then That's always fun. That's the funnest when people are like, where are my flowers? And you're like, calm down, hold on. And we have,
let's double check first. Yes.
Last year, I had to figure out how to drive a truck, which was pretty funny, or how to get the lift gate to go up and down, which I didn't know you have to turn the truck on for that. That's very important.
Car needs to be on for
but
that.
I had David on speed dial, so that kind of helped. And then he also coordinates the organization of the room, so that way there's not the same colors next to each other or the same exact rows, giving each variety a fair opportunity, which I think is super important, because if you walk in and you see a sea of roses, they all look pretty, you know what I mean?
Right.
But if you see a sea of red roses together, you're going to be like, well, which one's the one I like the most?
Right.
So David has been able to like put it down so that way he can give the judges the fair chance as well.
How long have you been doing the Outstanding Varieties now?
I was thinking about that the other day. I think it's been about 10 years, but I think I've missed 2 years for personal reasons, for different things. So I think it's been 8 or 9 years, though, that I've actually put everything together. The former CEO of SAF was Peter Moran, and I had been on, I did a lot with government relations. I was the government relations chairman for a while. I ended up on the Retail Council, was on the board for 3 years. So they I knew I knew him through that, and I knew just the general, what was happening. And the previous coordinator was retiring. So I got a phone call from Peter and asking, would you be willing to do this? And, I usually don't say no to very many things, as you could tell by me being on the podcast. But I said yes. And the first year I worked with the previous coordinator, and kind of taught me what to do, how to run things. And then over time, so I did it just like him the next year. And then over time, I've kind of gotten my own take on it. And, I've changed a few things up when I feel like I have a little bit more ownership of it now. But my big key is to make sure that, as Mimi was saying, each variety has the best opportunity to be judged properly on its own merits. One of the things I tell the judges is, let's treat the first one you judge the same as the last one you judge. So take the time. If you need to take a break, take a break. Go off to the side or whatever, but let's try to think of each one individually. And we kind of look at any variety as, what would this be compared to, in your mind, the perfect example of that variety, whether it's a rose, as I said, like a delphinium, gerbera, lily, whatever flower, chrysanthemum that they're judging. So sometimes they'll kind of do about, each judge judges about 65 of the entries. So, sometimes they'll do 20, take a little break, do another 20, take a break, just so that they can, make sure that each one is judged fairly.
Right. And then it's also, they're not supposed to be able to judge based off of design either, which is great for the volunteers like me and and Ellie and Tracy this year came and stepped in and helped. But they're not supposed to look at that. But I can't help but trying to make sure that they look good in that, because if you spiral it in, it looks better. It looks cleaner. You can see the stems better, and you keep the water cleaner.
You're not supposed to probably affect your judges with that, but I bet it just subconsciously.
Of course,
it's a subconscious thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and I will say this group of judges, I was joking with someone, but they were the handsiest judges I've ever seen.
Touching everything.
They were touching things. They were squeezing the heads on the roses. They were pulling stems out of the vase.
Glad you clarified the flowers.
Yeah.
The flowers of the vase. They were, yes, they're not so much with each other. But they definitely, they were touching things. They were checking the stem all the way down to the bottom. They were checking the leaves. Yeah. So
good.
They were a tough group. And the judging was a little tougher this year, I think, than it has been sometimes.
I agree.
Every year is different.
I agree, though. I thought it was I thought there were less ribbons out this year, but according to the email, I think they're the same. But for me, I don't know. Visually, I went through more where I would see more red ribbons than I didn't see this year. But it is what it is.
Well, and we've gone to a kind of a percentage. If things are judged really, really well, they'll always get a blue ribbon. But if things are, it's a little tougher, you're almost doing it on a curve. And we want to make sure there's at least 15 to 20% blue ribbons and then another 30 to 35% red ribbons. So you're trying to get about half of the entries to have a ribbon, but that this year we were a little shy of that, but it was just a little bit on the scores.
So when we're there as the OV team, the design team is also there. So the design team is 9 designers. All of them are like, most of them have some sort of accreditation. They have 313 combined years of design. They work for 7 days. They have 6 truckloads, 96 pallets this year. They made at least 1,299 arrangements. And the team themselves counted their combined steps. It was over 1,260,000 steps. So approximately 630 miles. Those poor guys are like up and down the halls. You see them during the stuff. And yeah, I have a question here from somebody. Let's see. Hold on.
So Mimi and David, out of all the years that we've done this together for OV, what is a particular fan favorite for you guys in either variety, type, or, I don't know, new style that you look forward to seeing every year at Outstanding Varieties?
So that's Corey. He's the design head, and Corey, shout out to him. But I could tell you mine. I still love to see the roses because I think that we always get more roses than anything else. But I love seeing the lilies too. But I think it's because we're spoiled with Oregon flowers. When Sun Valley was there, Lane would spend like 4 hours, every day fixing his lilies. So how about you, David?
I really enjoy seeing the roses because they're always, like you said, sometimes it's like, what's the new red rose or what's the new pink rose? And the garden roses, which we don't bring in as much as I wish we could. But it's always good to see those. Some of the spray roses, the really big headed spray roses are just beautiful.
Euphoria has.
Euphoria, they were gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And then it's sometimes there's a flower, like quite honestly, the overall winner, the Moderna, what was it?
By Rosa
Moderna
Prima.
Dolce, which was a ranunculus. It's kind of sometimes, I've never seen that before. I've never seen that look of a ranunculus before. So that was really cool.
Mike, as soon as he saw it, Mike saw it and said, that's a winner.
Yeah, it was, I had a feeling it was going to be up there, but I wasn't sure. Every once in a while, I'll think, oh, this is beautiful. And it won't even get a ribbon. But those were great. I always do agree. I agree with you on the lilies. I always love to see the rose lilies. There was one that I don't even think got a ribbon. It was from Oregon. I thought it was beautiful. It had 5 layers of bloom, and it was like one of the pink lilies. Mm-hmm. I've got a great picture of it. And I'm like, how do you do that? I mean, so when
it was a color of Nerines, like a Nerine pink lily, which is very unique.
Yeah, no, I thought it was beautiful. So, I think you can tell that I don't put my finger on any scale, because sometimes the things I really think should win or get something don't. And I guess I feel like I'm the facilitator for the judges. I want to make sure everybody has a fair shake.
We were missing Megan this year, and she is a very good judge. Her and Mike are the best to walk through because they call it before the winners come out. And I love that. Like, I feel like, what is it? The guy from CNN, Kornacki or whatever, that always says, this is who's going to win or whatever. Oh, yeah. It's like walking through with them and they're like, this is the winner. And she'll go and she'll take a picture and right on. And the same with Mike. Mike made a video and we posted it on social, and a lot of people said, thank you for bringing OV to the public, because a lot of people don't get to see it. And I feel like, it's really important to see all those varieties that are out there.
Well, I wish we could get more people to see it. I think for a while, we were somewhat like open to the public, and some of the different hotels that we've been at, I think technically it's open to the public, but even just to have other florists be able to experience it. It would be great. So maybe at one of our little profit blasts or one of those, we can try to bring some of the winners. I know they do it at AIFD.
Yes.
They'll have like the different winners of different. They'll have someone come and set all that up for them. So maybe we can make it a road show.
Yeah. So this year we did have help, which was great because Juliana from Kreisel helps with all of the Kreisel vases, and even this year Scott and Remco helped out a little bit. But this year we had 2 volunteers, which we have to say thank you to. But here's one that.
Hey, David, it's Tracy. Amazing time working with you in Outstanding Varieties. But I have a question.
She was awesome.
Of all the years that you've been doing Outstanding Varieties, what's the one thing
what can I do next?
that
what can I do next? What can I do next?
So you remember the most? Like, what was the most impactful moment that you've had, and what keeps you coming back year after year?
I don't know if there's one moment.
See you next year.
Every year is a little different. Sometimes it's seeing the different products and some of the things, like you were talking about Lane earlier with Sun Valley in the past, some of the different stems, things like that were really, it was just different.
The winter spirit, remember that he sat there like picking open the berries?
He had to. Well, it wasn't even peak season.
I'm going to play another question then. Hold on.
Hey David, it's Ellie Lefevre from Flower. I got to work with you a little bit behind the scenes at OV this year, and as my first time doing that, it was incredible to see how intricate the process is. Hey David, it's Ellie Lefevre from Flower Click. I got to work with you a little bit behind the scenes at OV this year, and as my first time doing that, it was incredible to see how intricate the process is. Outstanding Varieties
all those
has
rules
such
that they,
detailed
you can't
procedures
take
for how
them
entries
in
are
and out
staged and evaluated.
Why 24
so
stems?
I guess my question is,
why
can you explain to everybody the
why are
reasoning
people not allowed in the
behind
room
these strict
during
standards
right before
and
judging,
how
things like
they
that?
protect the integrity of the competition?
I think basically we're trying to give every entry its equal opportunity to win. So part of that is 24 stems is it's a consistent number. I don't know exactly where that came from, but I think it's to give us an idea of that's how many would normally fit into a vase. And so it's consistent across. Now, sometimes 24 stems of spray roses looks a lot more than 24 stems of a carnation.
Right.
But at least from one variety within a variety, they should be pretty consistent.
Right.
In terms of, people coming in and or not being able to see it, basically, everybody has the same opportunity to set up their varieties. They have basically from Saturday morning at 9 a.m. until Monday morning, so over at like 10 a.m., so about 49 hours, and they can pretty much come in when they want. We usually have it closed during the evening, but if someone wants to start setting up on Saturday morning, get it ready, and they want to come back and tweak it on Sunday, they're welcome to. If they want to come back Monday morning, which I have a few people who will come back to the last minute, picking out, maybe picking off petals or leaves, or just making sure that the right stems are in there, they're welcome to do it.
The other thing is that we don't want people in there when the judges are coming in, because we don't want people to know who the judges are. It's a big no-no, because, you can tell the judges, hey, look out for mine or this and that. I mean, and if we were to let
Who picks the judges, SAF?
SAF picks the judges. You can submit yourself to be on the judges panel, and then they pick people.
You can't be an entry and a judge. Mm-hmm. So if your company has an entry, you cannot judge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so wait.
Which makes it fair.
One more, and then wait. Hold on.
Do you have the list of the winners?
Right.
Yes, I do.
Cool.
Hi, it's Erin from Florist, and I was just wondering, since you guys have been working the OV room for so many years, if there are still varieties that you see that knock you off your feet.
Was she recording that at the indie track?
Probably, or maybe at the golf tournament that she was at this weekend.
Hey, it's Erin from McNamara Florist.
For me, that Tweedia, the second I saw it, I said has to win.
Since you guys have been working the OV room for so
from
many
Green
years,
Valley. I mean, when you do see some of these others,
the
one that did win,
that knock you off.
No, Moderna. I mean, it won best in its class, but not best in show. The best in show was the Moderna from Rosa Prima.
Culture. Yes.
But when I saw that, and then Mike saw that Gerbera and said that's going to win, and of course it won in that category. Like, I mean, you do get knocked off. I do get knocked off, and I see them, and especially like when our roses have won, I look at them differently. I really do. And so yeah. How about you guys?
Going back to the Tweedia, what got me was the feel of it. I just, we did not set that one up ourselves. That was
Green Valley.
Janet was there. Green Valley set that up. So when it was sitting finally out on the table, I went around and just was touching the leaf, and it was so soft. It was like a lamb's ear type of a thing. And then, but the whole stem was. Mm-hmm. And so it was interesting. After the judges were finished with everything, I did actually have all the judges go around. I'm like, just feel this, just to make sure you're getting the whole experience with it. But that would be a really cool flower to have in the store. Even if it was just sitting on the counter and be like, hey, come over here for a second, feel this, and I think you would get a lot of people just going, I never realized a flower could feel like that. So that was cool. Do things knock me off my feet? I think there's some things that I get a wow. There was I was kind of going back to that one hybrid delphinium that was kind of a lavender color. You just don't see that very often.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. The lilies, I'll tell you, the lilies always wow me. The roses, the funny thing is, what I think is like, oh, I think that'll be a winner, and then it doesn't get anything. But to me, I look at the commercial value of it as a retailer. I would hope that's how the retailers judge it. But sometimes, there's other reasons that things win or don't win. But sometimes the things that don't win still wow me. Some of the different expression roses, like there's a candy expression, melon expression with the little like green inside. They're very kind of gardeny. I think those are really, really cool. We just actually brought some in this week. So
do you ever, I was going to say, you have 2 stores, right?
Correct.
So do you ever bring in stuff that you see in OV?
We try to. I mean, I'll definitely take pictures and say, hey, can we get this? I know the one maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the first time we saw those blue carnations, not carnation, I'm sorry, blue chrysanthemums.
Yeah, the ocean.
The ocean.
Right? What are they called, Mike? What are they called?
Blue Ocean.
Blue Ocean?
Blue Ocean.
Yeah, it's a series by Suntory. They use the same genealogy from the moon carnations.
Yeah.
And they put them in chrysanthemums.
Yeah.
So, but as soon as we saw those, the next, when we were back in town, we were calling our wholesalers saying, hey, is this something you guys can get? And they worked on it, and then we started getting it in a standing order. So, just because it was a color, and we typically sell that out because it's just not a color you normally see in a, I will say in quotes, natural color, but
natural is the key
not
word.
like it's dyed or sprayed.
Yeah.
So we definitely try to.
David, before we go, Ryan has some questions, and we definitely have a couple of food questions, being that you're from Chicago, and The Bear is one of our favorite shows.
Also, Shameless.
Oh yeah, Shameless was good too.
Oh, Shameless! I ended up watching that not too long ago. I went through that whole thing.
But it went down. It was good in the beginning, and then it got boring.
Yeah,
I actually didn't even finish it.
You didn't
I
finish
never even finished it. No.
Yeah.
I kind of gave up halfway.
It got a little, I don't know. I think they jumped the shark at some point.
Yeah.
So that's a reference for an old show that we used to watch on TV called Happy Days. Anyway, that's a whole thing.
Happy Days.
For you kids.
I only know Chachi loves, what is it? Chachi loves?
Joni.
Joni loves Chachi.
Joni loves
Yeah.
I only know that because of Night at the Roxbury.
Yeah.
David, if you like movie quotes, the family here, they speak in movie quotes to each other. It's crazy. I'm like, how do you guys remember that many?
That's how we communicate. We're
They
like,
communicate with movie quotes.
we're like Bumblebee, the Transformer.
So we got a couple questions for you. Ryan's gonna give you these questions. Rapid fire. Go for it.
Okay, in your opinion, what is the best sandwich?
Best sandwich? I like a nice Italian beef, and in Chicago.
Describe what that is, because most people don't know what an Italian beef sandwich is, especially if they're from Miami. What is that?
Well, it's basically it's Italian bread or whatever, and with just I don't know, it's roast beef, but it's all, I say, ripped up. I don't know. I don't make food. I only eat it.
They dunk it in the juice.
Well, yes, and then so usually you get a little side thing. You can either do it like a French dip, but usually they just go ahead and just pour it all on there. So it ends up being a pretty mushy thing. It's a little messy, but we usually what they show on the bear at the beginning of that.
Okay, but
there's a position you have to stand in.
I also love
to eat it.
Maxwell Street Polish.
And you also, there's like some people who fight, like you put the sweet peppers, you don't put the cheese, you have to use mustard, you don't put anything on it, like the spicy pickled Italian stuff that they put on top of it. What's that called? Yeah, that.
Giardiniera.
I saw a whole thing on on CBS Sunday Morning about Italian beef, and then I saw one on how there's a mustard competition, and it was crazy.
There's an everything competition.
Yeah,
anything you can think of, there's a competition. I saw the guy crushing almonds or fucking acorns with his hands. There's a competition for that.
Trying to open up pistachio
there's a
shells
competition
as quickly
for
as
that.
possible. That should be a competition.
Anyway, at the moment, what is your favorite flower?
The hydrangea.
Did you see those giant hydrangeas that Grove Flowers had? Those were so tall.
They were super tall. I like just when they're really a big head. I just think they're a great value.
Yeah, agreed. Especially those Dutch ones. Dutch ones are awesome. Pick a superpower. If you have any superpower, what would it be?
My superpower. I'd like to read minds.
Okay.
Maybe not, but I think it would be nice to know what's going on in some people's minds.
For sure. It could be useful.
Maybe not Megan's, but somebody else.
What's the most overrated flower?
Overrated? I think I get in trouble, but I'd say a rose.
Nope, that's our number.
I mean, I think there's some beautiful ones, but I what I don't like is when someone says, send me I need to send a sympathy arrangement, but I don't want any gladiolas. Or I want to send a really nice arrangement. I only have $50 and no carnations. I think carnations are as a wonderful flower, especially with some of the different colors that they come in with nowadays. They're a great, they fill, but they're also, I think they're just a pretty flower anyway. And they still smell sometimes, so that's good.
There you go. I feel like that was the answer.
That's underrated.
Yeah, that was
exactly.
Is that your answer for underrated?
I love the smell of when you open a box.
Underrated, I would say, is a carnation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like the smell of carnations, Mike?
When you open the box, it has a really nice fragrance that comes out if they're fresh. Yeah. I also like the smell of chrysanthemums when they're fresh. They have a very unique, very strong.
Especially when you
smell.
when you clean them and work through them, that scent it's very familiar. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard sometimes when you're in the business actually smelling flowers after a while. You just don't notice it.
Right.
So I always remember around Easter coming into the store and you smell the Easter lilies and the hyacinth and things like that. Yeah. That takes me back to our old shop back when I was a kid.
Especially hyacinth. Yeah. I worked on a summer in a garbage truck and I only smelled it for a couple of days. After that, I didn't smell anything.
I had the same idea.
I just see you on the truck. I don't know. I like that visual. I think it's funny.
I did it. I was on the back of that truck, man. Hollywood Karting was the name. Hollywood Karting.
What kind of flowers do you want at your funeral?
Just lots of them. Definitely some gladiolas. I want some nice big sprays. I won't be there, so whatever they want to do for me.
Well,
that's
funny. Well, you will be there, but I know what you mean.
Well, physically.
Yeah.
Once my pastor once told me we were dealing with the funeral, and once that whoever passes away, they've lost their vote, so you can do whatever you want.
That's true.
So you make it pretty. Make it purdy.
There you go. What is your go-to late night drunk food?
Tell us the real one, not your healthy version. I don't want to hear your healthy version.
We used to have a place down in Champaign where I was in college where it was cheese sticks, like mozzarella sticks. That was good. I remember eating those.
Good mozzarella sticks are underrated. Like
did
really
they just sell you like 6 cheese sticks and like a...
Yeah, it was just 6 cheese sticks with a thing of marinara sauce or whatever.
That's a really I like that as a little kiosk, like the little French fry kiosk, but just selling mozzarella sticks. That's not a bad idea.
That was Doc J's. They had hot dogs and a bunch of other stuff, but pretty much I think they just started frying up mozzarella sticks at about 12:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Right before the bars got out.
Sounds great.
They knew I was coming.
Can you suggest somebody to be a future guest on the show?
Well, you said you've had Red, so that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a selfie with Red?
To hear from other
Dave?
I did get a selfie with Red.
Nice. That was a great.
Actually, he was one of my judges. So when we were taking our judge picture, I said, "Wait, hold on one second," and I took a quick selfie with him. He was fine with me, but he's like, "You too?"
We're big fans of Red content over here.
I feel like Lisa was in so much trouble for that.
No,
you signed me up for this.
So for those who weren't at SAF, Lisa Nielsen from Kennecott, she came up with a great idea. You get those little tags that say you're an exhibitor or, speaker, AIFD, a speaker. Well, she made little tags that if you took a selfie with Red, you could add to your badge, which was genius. I was like, go girl. And then poor Red was like running around trying to not take pictures with people. Like he was like, but then at one point I was with Paige and I'm like, Paige, help me get my selfie. She's like, and he's like, come on, Mimi, let's take a selfie. And I'm like, oh my God.
He knew he wanted one.
He knew I was like eyeing him.
He's a good sport.
He's a great sport.
He was definitely a very good sport. I was just trying to think in terms of guests on the show. I was just trying to think of the gentleman's name who was the flower grower down in Texas, who he spoke about the marigolds.
Frank.
He was amazing. I thought he did a great job. He was also one of my judges, so he'd have a little insight into OV also.
Frank has a great story. It's true. I love listening to him.
That was wonderful. I actually watched. I had never seen Coco. I watched it on the flight home because of that. So it made me cry a little bit. So it was. But it was that. I thought it was a great story of. It was a great story about turning his farm and creating what the public wanted. But it was also then at the end, he kind of talked a little bit about being a grower and that you're always concerned about money, that you either have to go get a loan and, and you're praying that your crop comes in, or you're using capital and you're praying that your crop comes in. So, that's a tough business. It's a tough part of our business.
Especially domestically in Texas.
Yes. Yeah. So it was, I thought he had a great story and it was just very interesting. I definitely think any of the leaders with SAF, one of my favorite people in this industry is Brian Wheat, which is Lori, who's the president of SAF. Brian, her
recently
husband.
retired.
Yes. But he still goes into the shop once in a while, according to him. But he, he's got a good background. He was in the Air Force and, he married into the business kind of like my wife did. And it became his life with things. So I think, and he's just funny. And then you got to make sure he draws some cartoons for you too, because he'll send little cartoons on your birthday and do stuff like that. So
that's fun.
He's a good guy. He's a really good guy. So
those are good suggestions. Thank you.
I have them both on.
Thank you. I'm going to reach out to them. Thank you so much.
I like the idea of getting people who were married into the industry. I feel like it's usually the other side that we get.
Yeah.
Well, then we might just have to have a season 2 or episode 2 when we get Megan to spill the tea.
Yes.
Redact all the things he said.
Redact everything he said. Well,
he's Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
let me. I will say that. I will say this: that you both are an inspiration, not just as working together, but as a couple. I mean, I've always told you guys that I will come back and help you forever and ever if it's you guys asking, because you guys are truly an inspiration in my life in general on how you treat each other with such respect and consideration. And my hat's off to you guys.
Well, thank you very much. She's trained me well.
I didn't want to say that, but no. I do go back being a little nicer to Oliver, and then I also start yelling at, I mean, like not yelling, using my strong voice, like, you know, do you hear me? Can you hear me?
Well, that's just because I can't hear in the one ear. So, you know,
I know. And that's what he says. And you know, you always say, like, it's not that I'm not doing it. It's I can't hear you. So I'm always like, maybe Oliver has a hearing problem.
Could be. You know,
Dave,
I say,
Dave
treat me like
her
a dog.
one certain way always. He's always facing
her
one side only.
Yeah. Oh, I usually, when I need to. It was storming last night here, so I was definitely laying on my right side because my left side is pretty deaf. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, David, for taking the time. I know you guys are busy. Mike, I'm sorry for making you guys come in early.
Before we close out, I wanted to say a couple things, if you don't mind. Those of you who were not at SAF this year convention, we're gonna give a fresh bunch congratulations to Holly and her family. Holly Haven and her family for winning Market of the Year, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was an amazing
story. We'll see if we can get her to
story.
Come on and share.
And if you haven't picked up your July and August Floral Management magazine, there is a great article in here about Christine Gunther and her husband Joey's business from Wildflower and their growth and their success. I think these are rock stars, young rock stars coming into our industry, and I think they're going to set the bar high.
Yeah,
and I'm big fans of them. And
thank you to Sheldon for helping us, Mike. Sheldon, another freshie fan who helped us. Him and Tracy helped us a lot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Sheldon
thank
from
you
Vegas.
so much
Sheldon,
for the help.
Yes, from Michelle's, and also congrats to all of the winners and everybody that was part of PFCI.
There was over 100 new attendees at SAF this year. There was over 100 attendees. And it was a good convention, and a lot of networking was going on there. But you know, you got to hand it out to these people. The flower business, man, these people work hard. They work hard, and when they can come out and spend that time, because it ain't cheap to go to convention, you know, it ain't cheap to. But what you go out there and you spend the time and you invest the time and you get to see people and you get to talk to people. Yeah, it's kind of a social event too, but I've never walked away from the convention without having a pocket full of new ideas or new contacts or new relationships, or maybe even rekindling one that wasn't so good before, you know? So read that article, and both articles, one on the Marketer of the Year, and
I have to kudos to Amanda. The content that's coming out of Floral Management has been really great. Really great.
Yeah. I'm proud of these people.
Read every month. So yes,
I'm proud to see these young people successfully married couple. Dave, it's married couple running multiple locations with kids. You know, that can't be easy. You know, and the idea of
the vase,
the returnable vase, the refillable vase. It's been going on for a long, long time, and it's just being kind of like recognized right now. As to the numbers and stuff, how that could be. So I think there's a lot of sharing that can go on. Dave, are you part of one of the peer groups or something that travel between each other's stores and learning stuff?
I am not. I used to, we used to have a couple good groups here in Chicago. We had a Teleflora group, we had an FTD group, which are no more. But so we're in the delivery pool. And so sometimes we'll get together and discuss just general things, but it would be interesting to do that. I've not been asked, it's always nice to be asked to be in something, but I do have friends from around the country and mostly through SAF that I can reach out to when there's a question, and it's people that I was either on council or on board with over time that when there's something that comes up and I'm just not sure, there's people I can reach out to. So nothing formal, but just more of it's a nice group of people. And the nice thing with SAF, I find it's a bunch of successful people. So they've probably gone through what you've gone through, or at least something similar, or if maybe sometimes it's a new idea and they'll give you their honest opinion. So they're not shy. These are not shy people. They all want to do what's best for the industry and for each other's shop. I did meet someone who was opening a shop in a town about 2 towns away. When I was there, and I just said, it's fine. I'm very happy for you. Just stay in your town, and I'll stay in mine. And there's enough business for everybody, to be quite honest. I love that flower feeling. We just got to build up the need for people to buy flowers.
Absolutely.
Demand is what we want. That helps everybody.
Yep. That is what we want for sure. Well, thank you for letting me throw those 2 cents in there. Appreciate it.
Very good.
And thank you for taking your time to join us today on the Fresh Bunch podcast. From the bunch to you, we are very grateful for you to take your time.
Thank you, David. See you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Mike.
Bye-bye.